Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. Ladies and gentlemen, this is round two, the second show of the day. That seems to be a common occurrence here on the Carriker Chronicles, but I love it. I actually kind of getting bored. I was like, not enough news, not enough news. Now there's plenty of news. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're like me and you're excited to see players start committing and coming to Nebraska via the transfer portal, it's not a one-way street, ladies and gentlemen. It's a two-way street. And you're also excited to know that DYLAN RAIOLA put the rumors to bed. I'd heard some things for a couple of weeks, but I'll get to that in a little bit here. Okay, I hadn't said a word for a reason, but I'll get to that in a minute. But DYLAN RAIOLA is all in. Vincent Shavers tweeted out, his dad tweeted out that he's all in. If you're excited to see players start coming to Nebraska and that some of our core players, which to me is just as important as bringing in new players, our core players are committed. And I'm going to go through who our core players are, at least in my humble opinion here shortly. Smash that like button if you agree with me. All right. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell. Literally just like 3 hours ago, put out my gut reaction to John Butler being named Nebraska's defensive coordinator. We have a new defensive line coach. Phil Snow is the associate head coach. Also, I'll be reacting to these guys as they come in and they commit to the Huskers as well. So make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell. It's interesting. One final thought on the defensive coordinator thing, because I've had a little bit more time to process, like 2-3 more hours. This is Matt Rhule's hire. This was his decision. This is his choice. And here's the thing. I'm going to wait and see what happens. Like, I'm not going to close my mind, or I'm not going to predetermine what's going to happen. I'm going to keep my mind open. I understand about the secondary and things of that nature. Okay, we had the 51st pass defense in the country a season ago, but my security system is talking to me. Hopefully nobody's breaking in, or hopefully there is. Anyways, I digress. I'm going to keep my mind open. I'm just going to see what happens. Admittedly, I'm not as enthusiastic about this hire as I could have been, potentially about someone else, but I'm going to keep an open mind. That's all I'm getting at. All right, so we were going to pair the back half of this video, as I mentioned in my previous show, with the Jordan Larson interview. My wife is still working on those graphics. She's still editing that show, working on those graphics. Okay, we plan to have it ready by tomorrow, depending on the insanity of Husker Nation and what's going on. So stay tuned for that as well. All right, couple updates. Barian Brown, I've talked about him, former Kentucky wide receiver who's in the portal and insanely fast. It appears as though LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State are the front runners for him at this moment in time. So I'm going to talk about 12 players today, 12. All right, 5 that I know have visited Nebraska. 3, there's been mutual interest back and forth. And then I got a couple of wish list guys, 4 to be exact. I don't know, should I dub these guys the Dirty Dozen? Is that wrong? I don't know. Okay, so Barian Brown seems to be out of it for Nebraska. Dane Key, it's down to Georgia and Nebraska from what I understand. Now, this guy actually had a better season, Kentucky wide receiver, as well. His wide receivers coach, D. Shorts, is now here in Lincoln. But he had a better actual season than Barian Brown did, as good of a player as Barian Brown is with his speed, down into Georgia and Nebraska. Nebraska and Georgia, and that could change 5 minutes from now, but that's what I'm being told at this moment in time. Now, here's a couple of guys, maybe on the wish list, so to speak, getting there a little bit early, but I will come back to the guys who've been in Lincoln, and there's been mutual interest. LSU starting wide receiver, or he's now in the portal. All right, C.J. Brown, 6'2", 205 pounds. He averaged 11.4 yards per catch. He's looking for more catches. He's looking to prove that he's a wide receiver 1. Okay, he just didn't feel like, he views himself as a wide receiver 1. He's looking for a good place to go to do that. Nebraska could be a potential landing spot. I'm not hearing, exactly where he's looking or where he isn't looking. Again, this is one of the early looks at a wish list potential type player. I've mentioned this guy a couple of times, 5-star Micah Hudson. Now it's very, very quiet. Okay, Texas Tech receiver now in the portal. It's very, very quiet around his recruitment or transfer portal decision at the moment. Same way as it was a year ago. 5-star coming out of high school was very, very quiet, and then he committed to Tech. He doesn't mind going to the underdog. He doesn't mind, that's kind of why I think Nebraska might be an option at this point. LSU and Texas A&M seem to be the front runners. But we're able to get seats at the table that we haven't been able to sit at before. And this is someone I'm going to keep an eye on, because I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled a surprise on a few people. All right, now here are some players that have been to Lincoln. And I'm going to come back to a couple more wish list guys and our core players as well. Now, I have been told, and I was of this opinion anyways, but then I have been told by multiple people that Nebraska is kind of a destination spot for players and agents, of course, factored in this because of the money we can offer, because of the NIL we can offer. We can now sit at the table we couldn't otherwise sit at as often before. Matt Rhule even talked about that in his press conference last week. Now real quick, okay, maybe this isn't the highlight of the video, but we did have a long snapper come visit Lincoln. All right, and there is a 4-star long snapper in high school in the state of Nebraska right now because we had long snapping issues last year. Maybe this isn't the headliner, but I think you start to realize how important that position is when all of a sudden you don't have a consistent player there. I also didn't know they gave out stars for long snappers, so kudos to that. All right, right off the top, Cole Wisniewski. Maybe the top player out of FCS. Okay, North Dakota State Bison. This guy's 6'4", 218 pounds. Good experience, great production. You know, look at Indiana. You look at what some of these schools did, and they brought in players from smaller schools with great production, came in and had an immediate impact. Indiana had the greatest season in the history of their football program. I'm not saying Nebraska will or won't have that last year, but you look at his 2023 season. Didn't play last year. 88 tackles, 50 solo tackles, 8 INTs, 8 interceptions, 5 pass breakups. This is a guy that I know is a possibility. We'll see what happens. Okay, Missouri true freshman edge rusher. All right, Williams and Warray. This was the #1 defensive lineman coming out of high school a year ago. They literally changed some laws. Okay, the state of Missouri literally changed laws that made it advantageous for him to sign with Mizzou. A year later, he's in the transfer portal. Okay, he's the #1 edge rusher, 5-star coming out of high school. He was just in Lincoln. Now it's interesting. Now here, I'm just gonna show you because this is kind of a later video, so we're just gonna be a little bit more raw with it. So he was actually in Lincoln. Okay, and it's interesting because Dawson Merritt was doing a little bit of peer recruiting. So Dawson actually, okay, sent a tweet out there, a fire emoji response. So a little bit of peer recruiting going on here, ladies and gentlemen, between some of these players. So this is a guy that Nebraska, honestly, could come, start, play, help us immediately. Very talented individual. All right, Phoenix Jackson. This is let me see here, 6'4", 220 pounds. All right. Player from Fresno State, linebacker, a guy who could come in and play weak side linebacker, rover in this 3-3-5. He had he was the 3rd highest graded linebacker in coverage in the country last year, according to Pro Football Focus. And as a junior coming out of high school, he actually committed to Matt Rhule at Baylor. My God, how long have some of these kids been playing college football? Holy Moses Malone. All right, David Pollock just texted me, by the way. I'll check that out when I'm done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, another individual who's been in Lincoln. All right, Florida State linebacker Omar Graham, a junior, 6'1", 228-pound sophomore, 68 career tackles. Think speed with this guy. Think speed. All right, man. Oh, here's some more former Huskers at a Chiefs game. You've got DYLAN Raiola, Dawson Merritt, Mosey. Like, if you don't think these guys peer recruit and form bonds, you're crazy. It matters, ladies and gentlemen. All right, and JD Piquel tweeted this out. Now, I do know he is interested in SEC schools. When I put this show together, I had not seen where he was exactly interested in, but that's why he's on this, and that is Eric Singleton. And a lot of people consider him a wide receiver out of Georgia Tech, consider him to be the top player in the transfer portal right now and a flat-out game changer. Okay, so the biggest needs that I see as far as the portal, I see we got to shore up the offensive line in spots, wide receivers, defensive linemen, linebackers, that front 7 on defense, wide receivers, and we need better blocking up front. Gunnar Gatula, he's going to be one of my core players coming back. Justin Evan Jenkins, one of the core players coming back, but we got to get better production out of the offensive line or blocking. Okay, we need to keep track of pancakes again, by the way. All right, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, DPS Concrete Construction. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. Ladies and gentlemen, they are your local concrete retaining wall experts. Jason Armstrong does a phenomenal job running that company, and they do phenomenal work as a result. That's dpsconstruction.net. Also, bonzopool.com. You look around and it's like, Adam, it's winter. Why are we talking pools and hot tubs and saunas? Because if you want them, you get signed up for them now. You get on the list now. They fill up fast. I'm just going to be honest with you. Hot tubs, go to their website, They got sales on them. Check them out. Pools. All right. If you got these things, you need them taken care of. They can take care of them too. If you want these things put in, they can get them put in. So pools, hot tubs, saunas, bonzopool.com. If you go into the store, ask for Jeff. He's the owner. Tell him Adam sent you. That's bonzopool.com. All right. I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but that's okay. DYLAN RAIOLA rumors. He put the rumors to bed. All right. So I heard rumors, a couple of weeks ago, but I'd had conversations with people, and it just didn't seem likely he was going to go anywhere, because I know how much it meant for him to play here. I know he had been peer recruiting, but you never know. When somebody comes at you with a bunch of money and a bunch of trying to entice you to go away, you never know what's going to happen. He put this out. You probably already know this. This is not breaking news. It's just the first time I've had an opportunity to sit down and talk about this, okay, that he's all in Go Big Red here at Nebraska. All right. So that's one of our core players that we needed to have back. All right. I didn't say anything because just the conversations that I had, despite the stuff that I was hearing elsewhere, I was like, it just doesn't seem likely. Like, I felt pretty good about that. And so I didn't say anything, but this is my first time addressing that. Now, Vincent Shavers, his dad, Vincent Shavers Sr.'s put this out, all in as well. If you can see that, if I can hold it still. Okay, so core players. Here are the 11 core players as I see them on the team. DYLAN RAIOLA, Ja'Cory Barney, young, talented impact players on offense. All right, next up, and this is no particular order, Willis McGahee, a guy who came in and made some big plays in big games last year. Colorado, Ohio State, Wisconsin, true freshman linebacker, Cam Lenhart, a guy who started as a true freshman a couple of games when he had to. All right, this is the guy who has a bright future, can make a big impact. He played well as a true freshman, did some things last year, wasn't, as talked about as Ty Robinson. Ty's had a great season so far, but going forward, he projects very, very well. Riley Van Poppel, again, played a little bit more as a true freshman. Okay, last year, played in 4 games, a redshirt. This is a guy that can play end, that can play nose. All right, athletic type guy. Emmett Johnson, I've talked at great length about Emmett. I'm glad he's back. He's one of our core players. Zaire Wright, a guy who wasn't even started, then earned a black shirt, that maybe was our best corner by the end of the year, I might add. All right, you've got Gunnar Gatula, freshman who came in and started at left tackle when we had injuries there. I mentioned him. Justin Evans Jenkins. All right, I think that's actually 10 players. Thought I had 11. Nope, 10 players. Oh, here was the other note I had. Okay, was, if I can read my handwriting here, Luke Lindenmeyer. The coaches clearly like him. Now, you got Thomas Fedoni, you got Nate Borkashire. I want to see a battle in that tight end room to see who ends up being the starter, and you need guys in that room that are willing to compete. So those guys all coming back and competing and seeing the cream rising to the top, whether it's Lindenmeyer or Borkashire or Fedoni. And I love Fedoni, by the way. Love him. It's hard. My phone about fell. It's hard not to root for a guy like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Last 2 kind of wish list players, and then I got some things you might find amusing at the end. All right, Kendrick Law, Bama wide receiver. This was a dude when you looked up the Bama team before the season, you heard about Ryan Williams, but you heard about Kendrick Law. Everybody expected him to have a big-time season. He's freaky, twitchy, things of that nature. Didn't really get the ball thrown to him that much. Ryan Williams became the overwhelming focus, and with Jalen Milroe as their quarterback, they just ran the ball a ton, especially at the quarterback position. He's looking to go to a place where they're going to throw the ball more. Wish list type player. Who knows? Also, Kentucky defensive lineman, Keyshawn Silver. Big-bodied guys who are 6'4", 336, okay, can move and have proven production or at a premium. They're like gold. I'm just telling you, between you and me, defensive line is the most important position out there. All right. Let's see here. Now, I'm hearing early on, he just entered the portal, that Florida schools are the ones there's the most mutual interest in right now at this point in time. All right, a couple of random things. 5-star tight end Eric Gilbert has entered the transfer portal. I did not know he was still on the team. Did you know that? And what's he been doing? Okay. All right. AJ DeBonsa. I don't know if I'm saying that. The top-ranked prospect in the 2026 NBA draft class has committed to Brigham Young University. He announced on ESPN. BYU getting the top-ranked basketball player. That's awesome. It just stuck out to me as kind of cool. All right, here's the number one player in the transfer portal that nobody's talking about. This is an absolutely can't hit prospect. No, you heard me right. Can't hit. He watches the show. I'm sure I'll get a text. All right, Larry, the cable guy. Much love, my man. Through prayer and conversation with God, my wife, and my mother, who's in assisted living, I've decided to enter the transfer portal. The fact I don't play football is what makes this decision so difficult. I've included pics of my resume. I don't know if you can see those smaller pics. Phenomenal resume there, Larry. All right, and that is the close right there. Oh, I do have one more thing. I have a live look at the transfer portal. I don't know if you're ready for this. Are you ready for a live look at the transfer portal? Hold on. That's a live look at the transfer portal right there, ladies and gentlemen. Live look. Oh, more people just entered. 5 seconds went by. That's a terrible joke. I apologize. Check out the CarrikerChronicles.com. The website, as always. All your Husker sports hopes and dreams will come true. It's just science, ladies and gentlemen. Here are my 3 questions for you fine folks at home. Let me know your answers in the comments below. Quit busting my nuts. And did I miss any core players? I had 10. 10 core players. Did I miss any? Number 2, which player that I talked about do you think is most likely to come to Nebraska? And number 3, what do you think is going to happen with the special teams coordinator? Did Ed Foley do enough down the stretch to keep his job? Is there somebody else they might bring in? Might they disperse it amongst the staff? I don't know what's going to happen. Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, go Big Red Nose. Remember to throw the ball.